She begged me to pose as her fiancé. Her ex walked in and said, "Nice try." The first time she grabbed my hand, her fingers were ice cold. Her eyes were filled with panic, and before I could ask what was wrong, she whispered the words that turned my ordinary evening into the most unforgettable night of my life. She begged me to pretend to be her fiancé for just one dinner, promising it would only last an hour. I thought I was helping a stranger escape an awkward situation. I had no idea I was walking into a storm that had been waiting for years to explode. And when the front door opened halfway through dinner, the man standing there smiled without a trace of surprise and calmly said, "Nice try." In that moment, I realized none of us were pretending anymore. Before we continue, if you believe kindness can change someone's life and everyone deserves a second chance, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Your support keeps these emotional stories alive. I had just finished a long shift and stopped at a small cafe to escape the rain. The place was quiet until a young woman rushed inside, looking over her shoulder every few seconds. Her elegant dress suggested she had come from an expensive event, but her frightened expression didn't belong there. She sat across from me without asking permission, apologized, and explained that her family was hosting an engagement dinner. The problem was that she had called off the engagement after discovering the man she was supposed to marry had been manipulating her for months. Her parents refused to believe her. They insisted she was overreacting and demanded she attend the dinner anyway. Desperate to avoid another humiliating argument, she asked if I would pretend to be the man she had chosen instead. Everything about the request sounded unbelievable, yet there was something painfully genuine in her trembling voice. I wasn't wealthy. I wasn't confident around strangers. I was simply a high school history teacher who believed helping people mattered. Against every instinct telling me to walk away, I agreed. The mansion where her family lived looked more like a luxury hotel than a home. Crystal chandeliers reflected warm light across polished marble floors, while portraits of generations past stared down from the walls. I suddenly felt painfully aware of my inexpensive suit. She introduced me as Daniel, her fiancé, and although several relatives looked confused, they forced polite smiles. Her grandmother, however, squeezed my hand warmly, as if she had been waiting for someone exactly like me. For the first 20 minutes, everything seemed to work. I answered questions carefully, avoided discussing details that might expose the lie, and focused on making everyone comfortable. Slowly, even I started believing we could survive the evening. The woman beside me smiled for the first time since we met, and the fear in her eyes began to disappear. Then the front door opened. Silence spread across the dining room before anyone even looked up. A tall man wearing a tailored navy suit stepped inside with the confidence of someone who believed he already owned everything in the house. He glanced around the room, noticed our hands resting together on the table, and smiled. It wasn't an angry smile. It was worse. It was the smile of someone who believed he had already won. He looked directly at me before calmly saying, "Nice try." The room froze. Her father immediately stood, clearly uncomfortable. Her mother looked ready to faint. The woman beside me tightened her grip on my hand so hard it almost hurt. The man introduced himself as Victor. He claimed he wasn't there to fight. According to him, he had only come to collect a few personal belongings and wish everyone well. His calm voice confused everyone except the woman sitting beside me. She knew exactly how dangerous his calmness could be. Over the next few minutes, Victor carefully planted seeds of doubt. He questioned how quickly she had found someone else. He asked harmless-looking questions about how we met. He never raised his voice, never insulted anyone directly, but every sentence was designed to make me appear like an actor reading from a poorly written script. I answered honestly whenever possible. I admitted we hadn't known each other long. I admitted our story sounded unusual. I even admitted I wasn't rich. Victor laughed softly. He believed honesty would destroy me. Instead, it changed everything. Her grandmother suddenly spoke. She said wealth had never guaranteed character and reminded everyone that appearances often hide the darkest truths. Then she revealed something nobody expected. Months earlier, she had personally witnessed Victor threatening one of the household employees for accidentally overhearing a private phone call. She had remained silent because nobody believed her at the time. The atmosphere changed instantly. Her father looked at Victor differently. Questions replaced assumptions. Confidence disappeared from Victor's face for the first time. The woman finally found the courage she had been searching for. She explained how Victor had slowly isolated her from friends, monitored her phone, and manipulated every disagreement until she questioned her own judgment. She hadn't left because she stopped loving him. She had left because she no longer recognized herself. As she spoke, tears filled her mother's eyes. Her father lowered his head in shame. He realized his daughter hadn't needed another lecture. She had needed someone to believe her. Victor tried one final time to regain control, accusing everyone of turning against him because of emotion rather than evidence. But sometimes the truth doesn't arrive through one dramatic revelation. Sometimes it arrives through dozens of small memories finally connecting together. Family members remembered uncomfortable moments they had ignored. Staff members quietly confirmed details they had been afraid to mention. The illusion surrounding Victor collapsed piece by piece. He walked out of the mansion exactly as confidently as he had entered, but this time nobody followed him. When the front door finally closed behind him, the silence felt different. It wasn't fear anymore. It was relief. The woman beside me began crying, not because she was weak, but because she no longer had to pretend to be strong. That evening ended without celebration. There were no grand speeches or dramatic embraces. There were apologies, quiet conversations, and promises to rebuild broken trust. Her father thanked me, admitting that a complete stranger had shown his daughter more support in a single evening than he had in months. As for me, I expected never to see her again. But life rarely follows expectations. A week later, she invited me for coffee. There was no pretending this time. We talked for hours about ordinary things, books, childhood memories, embarrassing mistakes, and dreams that had nothing to do with money or social status. Without the pressure of acting, we discovered something surprisingly real growing between us. Months passed. Friendship slowly became love. Love became trust. Trust became the foundation neither of us had ever experienced before. The greatest lesson wasn't that fake relationships become real. It was that genuine kindness often appears when people least expect it. One small decision to help a frightened stranger completely changed two lives forever. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who still believes in hope, forgiveness, and second chances. Your support inspires us to keep bringing meaningful stories like this to life. Before this story ends, tell us in the comments, have you ever helped a stranger and watched that single act of kindness change everything? We'd love to read your story. Years later, whenever people asked how we met, we smiled before telling them the truth. It always sounded too unbelievable to be real, yet every word was true. A desperate request, a fake engagement, an unexpected confrontation, and one ordinary man willing to help someone he had never met became the beginning of a lifetime neither of us could have imagined. Sometimes destiny doesn't arrive with perfect timing or beautiful plans. Sometimes it simply takes your hand in the middle of a storm and quietly asks you to trust it. And if you find the courage to say yes, the life waiting on the other side may become more beautiful than anything you ever dreamed possible.